Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go! This story took place when I was 17. The cast: me, Kaz, my co-worker, Jay, my boss, and the entitled mom 1, 2, and 3. I work part-time as a waitress during my school holidays at a nearby restaurant. All's good, and I enjoy the people I work with. Hours and pay are reasonable. For context, I'm Asian, fairly skinny. On one certain busy lunch day, I just got out from the back and a table of 3 ladies and 2 kids were signaling to get my attention. I nodded at them and headed to their table shortly after. I noticed their food is finished. Yes, do you need your bell? The entitled mother number 1 says, "Bell?" She laughs. The entitled mother number 2 says, "You expect us to pay after such poor service?" I'm sorry, was there something unsatisfactory? The entitled mother number 1 says, "The food was lousy. I called you over to make a complaint. We are not going to pay for this." I tell her, "I am sorry to hear that it wasn't up to your expectations, ma'am, but you can't have the meal for free. Your complaint is noted though." The entitled mother number 3 says, "How dare you say such a thing? I know the owner of this restaurant. I will call him right now and report your rude behavior." Now my boss Jay is female. As I was with a table of entitled moms, I could see Jay at the far corner of the restaurant, happily enjoying her lunch. The entitled mother number 3 pulls out her phone, smirking at me as she puts her phone to her ear. Then she says, "Hello? Listen. One of your employees is being very rude. The anorexia-looking chink. Fire her. Oh, and the food was terrible. You ought to fire that chef too. We won't have to pay, yeah?" At the time, I didn't realize what she had called me as I was keeping an eye on Jay, who never answered her phone. A co-worker Kaz passed by hearing what she said. The entitled mother number 3 smiling then tells me that I am fired. It was quite funny, pretending to call my boss, but I didn't call her out on it just yet. Kaz asks, "What's happening here?" Well, they aren't satisfied with their food and refuse to pay. The entitled mother number 3 says, "You're also now fired, so stop talking and leave. Let your friend do the job you can do right." Kaz tells her, "That's very rude of you to call her that, ma'am. I'm going to have to ask you to pay for your meal and leave." Entitled mother number 2 says, "Oh, we have another stuck-up jerk, huh?" And the entitled mother number 1 adds, "Why are you so rude? We're loyal customers. We just wanted to give helpful criticism about the food served here. And this is how you treat us?" I've never seen any of these 3 ladies before. The kids look mighty uncomfortable at all that's happening. I looked at Cass and he looked over to Jay. The entitled mother number 3 says, "People like you are such a thorn in society. I should get the both of you fired." She groaned as if she was displeased and muttered the word, "Gross chink." I heard it loud and clear this time, and my eyes widened when I realized she meant me. Kaz louder this time, "Ma'am, please stop being racist, and if you continue to refuse paying, I know the owner here. He should never have hired any of you worthless piece of trash." This of course attracts the attention of everyone in the restaurant, Jay included. She gets up from her seat as she starts to walk over. "Hey you," one of the entitled mothers tells her. "Me?" "Yeah, those earrings, take them off." Kazumi asks, "Why?" "Do you have any idea how customer service works? It's a compensation for the terrible food and terrible service from you. You shouldn't be able to afford them anyway, and it would be perfect for my daughter." My earrings aren't anything flashy, super simple stud type. I haven't got a clue on what she thought of its worth. I got really angry at her for demanding such an outrageous thing. The poor kid is about to say something to her mother, but thinks better and looks away. I really feel bad for her. I also felt like I should have said nothing and let Jay handle it, but I lost it. I say, "You have no right to ask me for the earrings. They belong to my mother. Lying about knowing my boss? Nonsense on that too. Do you think it's right to stomp on other people? To call them names? The entitled mother number 2 starts nudging over to the entitled mother number 3 to call the police. To report on my harassment, I guess. Jay swoops in, grabbing her phone, and she says, "That won't be necessary, for I have already done so. You're going to sit here until they arrive, and you will leave my employees alone." The entitled mother number 3 is practically screaming for her phone back, calling Jay a bunch of names. She was livid. Again, she pulls a stunt of knowing the owner, thinking Jay is just a manager, and threatens to get her fired too. Jay says, "Well, I know the owner. That's me. I'd advise you to kindly shut up now until the police arrive." All the entitled mothers go red in the face, and I think I saw one of the kids practically die inside of embarrassment. I still very much wanted to punch the entitled mother number 1 if it weren't for Kaz holding me back. When the cops arrive, the entitled mothers immediately try to push their overly exaggerated story of what happened. One even accused Kaz of touching their daughter. I think I saw steam coming out of his ears. Luckily, several witnesses called out their bluff and our statement were also taken. The entitled mothers sulkily paid for their meal and they were escorted out by the police. I don't know whatever happened to them. I'm sure Jay had pressed for more on them, but I never saw those ladies ever again. Years ago, I lived in a trailer park, manufactured home community. They were nice trailers, but they were still trailers. And during the summer when I inherited my dad's little fishing boat, I was informed I wasn't allowed to park the boat in our driveway. It fit completely in the driveway and did not hang out onto the road. When I mentioned that this rule was nowhere in my lease, they said, "Oh, the rule was just changed this year. It'll be on your next lease." And it was. I asked what they expected me to do with my boat and they said, "There's a community lot at the end of the block where tenants are expected to park their trailers and boats. You can park it there for free." Great, that'll free up space in my driveway then. I decided to play along instead of fighting it, and when I went to get my boat out of the lot that Saturday, the gate was locked. I impatiently stomped over to the office telling them I wasn't told the gate would be locked, and I wasn't given a key to get my boat out. "Oh, the residents don't get keys to that gate." Hold up. You're requiring me to park my boat there and you're not giving me access to my boat? All you have to do is call the park maintenance guy when you need to get something out and he will come open it up. Now I tried to argue with her about how inconvenient that is for literally everyone involved and how it would be so much simpler to just make a bunch of copies of the key and even sign one over to each person who has to keep something there. Hell. Let me borrow the key right now and I will go down the hardware store and I will pay to get my own copy made. You could even make us all sign for the keys with a fee if we lose it. Sir, we don't do that for security reasons. If there are multiple keys floating around there, anyone could get access to your boat. I decided to ignore how stupid that was, since if my boat was in my driveway, where I really wanted it, anyone could get access to it and that's what tongue locks are for. I smiled and said, "You know what? You're right. I wasn't thinking clearly. Please give me the phone number for the maintenance guy, and I will just give him a call when I need to get my boat out." I went home and checked the weather for the weekend. Warm, sunny, and calm all Sunday. Sounds like a perfect day for fishing. And you know what? I want to make the most out of my fishing trip. So I'm going to get an early start. I woke up at 5 in the morning, got myself all ready, packed my gear into the back of my truck and drove on over to the trailer lot. I then called the maintenance guy who answered with a groggy and clearly still half asleep hello. I replied in my best chipper voice. "Good morning. I was told I have to call you to get my trailer out of the lot." "It's like 5 in the morning. You're going to have to wait." "No, sir. I've got things to do today and I need to get an early start, so I am going to need you to get into that lot right now." Him, with noticeable irritation in his voice, said, "Give me 5 minutes." About 10 minutes later he pulls up to the gate, very visibly disgruntled about the whole thing. I just give him a smile and a good morning. As he was unlocking the gate, he said, You need your trailer to move tree limbs or something? Oh no, my boat's on it, and I need it for fishing. That couldn't wait until a decent hour? Nope, my life doesn't revolve around your sleep schedule. Of course, if I had my own key to this gate, you wouldn't need to be here at all. I had a great day fishing, and when I got back, the gate was no longer locked, and I never saw a lock on it again. Edit. To be clear, part of the reason I didn't feel too horrible about inconveniencing the maintenance guy is because he was already on my bad side after a run-in about a year earlier when he tried to steal my wife's parrot cage. I was generally just useless at his job as a maintenance man anyway. This incident wasn't his fault and he didn't deserve my maliciousness in this instant, but I am also not losing any sleep over it. This is more of a used to work here but no longer do sort of story. So I used to work for a very well-known craft store that also sold a lot of fabrics. I was so excited to get hired at this store because I absolutely loved shopping here. My love for this store quickly went down the drain. We were forced to wear these huge neon green aprons that we weren't allowed to take home and wash. I'm a small woman, about 5'3". My apron came down to my ankles and my managers refused to order me a smaller size. Well, along with my apron dress, I was also scheduled 4 to 8 hours a week. I basically got paid enough to afford the gas to drive to work. I also had a manager who hated me for no apparent reason. I'd ask for a quick restroom break and get threatened with a write-up. Show up early for work, get accused of trying to rip off the company for extra money, and just blatant harassment. It's worth noting that I worked here for 4 months and none of the managers, including the general manager, remembered my name. The breaking part for me was when I got my new schedule for the week. My general manager had me down to work 12 to 14-hour shifts. Every day that week, I told my general manager about my college class hours, and she told me to just skip because they needed me more since she was going on vacation to Mexico. Ha, no witch. You can't remember my name and now you're going to work me to death because you want to dip out suddenly? Nope. I didn't show up for work that first 14-hour shift for the week, and nobody noticed. Fast forward to the end of the week, no calls from anyone. Okay, peace out. Now for the good part. I hadn't worked there for about 3 months when I got a random phone call. I answered and I'm instantly getting screamed at by some super pissed off lady. I deleted the store number so I didn't realize it was my old general manager calling me. Where are you? You were scheduled to be here at 11 a.m. and it's 2 p.m. Get here now. Who is this? How dare you? Have you forgotten who you're speaking to? Yes, actually. I'm writing you up as soon as you get here. You better get here as soon as possible. The crazy witch hangs up on me and I'm sitting there like, did she just now realize I haven't been showing up for work? There is no way, right? Well, I decided to be a jerk and I showed up to the store. Walked right up to my old boss, hoping she'd just lay into me so I could get her fired for yelling at a customer. Nope, she didn't even realize who I was. I ended up buying some mermaid scale print fabric and giving the store a super useless survey and using the general manager's name personally. Blocked the store number as well. Edit. I'm gonna clarify some stuff. Yes, they really kept me employed there for the 3 months I didn't show up for work. No, unfortunately I didn't get paid for them. After my encounter with the crazy witch, I received an email from the company asking me to give an exit survey about my time employed with them. I dragged this company to the 9th circle of hell and back. I blasted the horrible management. The fact that I wasn't allowed to keep anything in my work locker after my shift, and the awful treatment of other co-workers by the general manager. He got on a headset one day and threatened to slap me. I did get a response from corporate saying they would look into it. She got demoted for a few months to floor supervisor, then totally fired for mistreating the employees. So yeah, you start your day with the sound of an excavator demolishing your shed without having a single clue in the world why the hell is this happening. I mean, I get it. I've had more than a couple of complaints from the so-called HOA in the past few weeks regarding the renovations I did recently to my shed since it was a safety hazard and almost collapsed due to getting damaged by the few storms we had in the past couple of years. For all I know, I got all of the licenses I need to proceed with rebuilding the shed the way it was, and that's all I did, by the way. Didn't add any extensions to it or anything of that sort, but the crazy HOA president didn't see it that way and insisted that I take it down completely because obviously I added more to it and took advantage of the situation and did what I always wanted to do: build a bigger shed. First of all, I had every right to do so on my damn property, cause well, it's my property and I wasn't violating any rules or bothering any neighbors if I did so. But I didn't. I really didn't. I just renewed the thing because it wasn't safe anymore to keep it in that poor shape. I got visited by many inspectors in the past few weeks due to having complaints from the HOA that I had illegal buildings on my property, but it didn't really take them long to know for a fact that these claims were all false, and they would leave eventually without reprimanding me for any violations. Well, as expected. Of course, these pointless visits drove that HOA jerk mad. He wanted a piece of me, that's for sure, and on this day he came to get it. Somehow, he managed to score himself an excavator and decided to drive it through my shed and take care of this problem himself. Didn't even know the jerk could operate this kind of stuff. But I learned later that at one point that was a job he had in his younger years and probably wasn't hard for him to pull some strings and get someone to let him into an excavator they didn't probably own. So yeah, as I mentioned earlier, I woke up to the sound of my newly renovated shed being crushed by this piece of trash, driving an excavator through it without a care in the world. It took me a moment to realize that this was actually happening and on my property nonetheless, and all I could do at the moment is go on autopilot and do exactly what I did next. I went inside my house, grabbed my registered rifle, and came out guns blazing and started shooting at him in that thing without even giving him a single effing warning. The moment he heard gunshots, he stopped immediately, ducked inside the cabin for a moment, then eventually found himself a chance to get the hell out of there and run for his life away from that deadly situation. I would like to say that I wasn't shooting to actually hurt him, but honestly, that would be just plain lies. Maybe 6 or 7 police cruisers arrived on the scene and stopped right in front of my property, had me drop my weapons and detained me before they asked me a single question. Completely understandable though, but once they heard my side of the story and allowed me to show them the footage my cameras caught, they uncuffed me and had me go grab my registration for my weapon and wanted me to point them out to the house of that guy I shot at. And I did. Some of them went in the direction of his house, got him out of there, handcuffed him, and shoved him in the back of one of their cars. Since rebuilding that shed cost me over $7,000, the charge of malicious destruction of property he caught turned out to be a felony in fact, and not a simple misdemeanor. And he ended up getting 5 years in prison plus a $2,500 fine. And honestly, we're just getting started here. I am surely suing him for the damages, and he also seems to be under a lot of fire for the excavator he managed to steal with the help of an insider that eventually got caught up in all of that crap as well. It just looks awful for him in the long term. As for me, I was treated like a sane man that found himself in a horrible situation and had to use force to defend his property and family from grave harm, and simply did what he had to do with the legal means that was at his disposal. And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.